fading. We gotta go. I'll get my car.
What time?
Yours. I gotta get me one of those.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bat Dan's Discussions. And happy Batman Day! Of course, we had to do a stream for this on Batman Day. Would not miss it for the world. And this year, we're going to be dedicating this year's Batman Day, to Batfleck, and why the Batfleck movie can happen on Netflix. And really? Can you believe this, Zod? Can you believe this guy right here?
You know, I actually thought you were going to say we're going to dedicate today, Batman Day. We're going to dedicate today to Socks Bulletins, because Socks said Happy Spider-Man Day. So, but we might as well say Happy Spider-Man Day, because hell, even WB didn't acknowledge, the best Batman of all time. So.
Oh, yeah, and we'll get into that. We will definitely get into that. But other than that, though, how are you feeling today?
I'm hanging in there, man. I'm, doing all right, I guess. Happy to be here.
And happy to have you here. And what up, J Mar, Sean Franklin, and ready to do the show. Wait, hold on. I better stop, because I don't want to get copyright stricken. I was trying to do a musical in the Batman theme for Socks, but I just realized that WB could copyright strike me for this. So never mind. Never mind.
Can. Yep.
And they're not above petty copyright strikes, so.
Nope.
Anyways, before we get started on today's show, and what up, Rebel Moon Theory? We just want to remind everyone that One Punch Dan comes out next year in 2026, and we have the director right here, Zodwriter.
Yep. I'm really, really excited for everybody out there to finally get a chance to see this movie. I've been working very, very hard on it, and it's taking a lot of my time, a lot of my energy, a lot of my life, and I honestly think it's all going to be worth it in the end, because I think everybody's going to love this movie, and I can't thank the people enough who have seen the first 45 minutes of One Punch Dan and have given me their feedback, because that's that was very, very important in the process. I want to give a shout out to my good friend Crystal, who is in the who plays a good character in the One Punch Dan movie, who recently physically came here and hung out with me and watched the entire movie. The cut of the movie that I put together, and gave me her opinions, gave me her feedback, and I just appreciate it all so much, because this is what it's all about. I'm getting into that phase now where the movie is nearly completed, and I'm just getting excited for it, man. The closer we get to 2026, and it's just so amazing, because I feel like I'm ushering in a brand new era, a brand new genre of redefining the superhero genre with One Punch Dan. And it's kind of fitting that we're here on Batman Day, talking a little bit about One Punch Dan as well. So
we will always be promoting One Punch Dan on this channel, and I'm really excited again to have you on and just to talk a little bit about it. And I will say this too, Zod. I hope that just Josh gets treated the same way that WBD is treating Batfleck now.
Well, I will say, I will say this. I've honestly, all of you guys that are in the One Punch Dan movie that have lent me your voices and your likenesses, you guys are incredible. You guys are incredible actors, incredible characters. Everybody in this movie looks great. Everybody in this movie sounds great. I couldn't be happier. I feel like I've been working with all of you guys, this whole time, even though, the whole process of making One Punch Dan has been a very lonely and sometimes tedious process. It's also very rewarding, because I feel like I'm getting in being able to tap into alternative reality versions of all my friends, like what you guys would all be if you were in a world where you were superheroes, or you were various different types of characters. And it's just so amazing, so many different facets and different traits that you guys have that I was able to import into these characters. So I'm really looking forward to you guys seeing it, because I truly believe that there is nothing like it out there. I think One Punch Dan is a very, very unique story, and it's a very, very unique concept from the ground up in terms of the characters and all the different varying facets and genres that this movie touches upon. I'm excited. I really am, and that's why I say, I'm becoming more of a perfectionist now, where I'm getting to the point where I want things to be, a certain way. So I'm doing little nips and tucks here and there, and going in and moving things around and doing things. The editing process. It's so much fun. It's a lot. This is good because it's no longer a struggle for me to decide, well, oh my God, what am I going to do here, there, or the other? It's like I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm just trying to perfect it and get it to the point where I'm 1,000% happy with it, because I'll be so pleased to be able to finally announce that the movie is completely done and ready to go. So yeah, I'm expecting to drop it, early 2026. That's my projection. I'm hoping that I can get it out early 2026 for everybody, but it's definitely coming out 2026 for sure. And yeah, I don't know. I'm super hyped.
I'm hyped too. I cannot wait to see this. I cannot wait to see One Punch Dan. and I cannot wait to see One Punch Man kick just Josh's ass. So check it out, guys. One Punch Man coming soon. And before we get started with the Batfleck topics, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Cristin Milioti. I'm sorry, I'm bad at pronouncing names. She wins an Emmy for her role as Sophia in The Penguin. And I didn't bother putting her name because she changes her name midway through the show, and I'm not going to get that technical with that. But the character, I mean. But I just want to give her a quick shout out. She won Emmy for Best Lead Actress in a limited series. What did they say? Wait, was it actor or actress? Because I know actor is used interchangeably with guy and girl actors. Let me just double check that real quick. But you know who didn't acknowledge this Emmy win? James Gunn.
Yeah, Mr. Petty himself. She was one of the top 5 best things about that series, bar none.
Yeah,
and we know we're not going to get a season 2 because of James Gunn, but Peacemaker will go on indefinitely as long as James Gunn is there. That's for sure.
And she is not going to be in the Batman Part 2. That's what they've said, Jamar. And I mean, you're right, Zod. You're right. And it was lead actress, by the way. That's what the Emmy was for, lead actress. But yeah, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I have a feeling we won't be getting more Peacemaker if things go right soon, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, it's ridiculous. Penguin did so well. It blew our expectations. And she was a phenomenal actress, and she was one of the best parts of that series. I agree with you. She helped make the series as good as it was. It would not have been that good without her in it. So, absolutely.
I actually believe, I don't know what Matt Reeves has planned for the Batman Part 2, but I believe it would be thoroughly a mistake on the part of Matt Reeves not to include her character, or from what I've read, it sounds like the Penguin essentially has like a glorified cameo in this movie, and I think that would be a mistake. I think that they need to definitely capitalize on the success of the Penguin and include those characters in the upcoming sequel, because I don't believe that Matt Reeves is getting anything else beyond the Batman Part 2. So I just don't see why you wouldn't incorporate the best parts of your universe into your next movie. Because like it or not, the Penguin, I would argue, was better received than Matt Reeves' the Batman. Honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, and I'm taking my feelings out of it because I was not a fan of Matt Reeves' the Batman, but I definitely loved the Penguin from start to finish. I thought it was wonderful. I thought it was great drama. I'll even go as far as to say I thought that they should have dropped what they were doing and whatever their plans were and just continued the Penguin on HBO Max, and it could have been like it could have been in position to be like the next Sopranos. This thing could have went on for several seasons and people would have been invested because it was good, very high quality, very good directing, very good cinematography, phenomenal acting, and best of all, wonderful writing. And that's what you need for these shows. You need quality to be able to attract viewers that are not, diehard, comic book fans that are going to just watch anything that comes out. For someone like me who absolutely abhorred the Batman, okay, for me to get on board and love the Penguin show as much as I did, I feel like that's exactly how you do it. That's how you build hype. That's how you get more people invested. See, because now, because of this Penguin show, I'm a little bit more forgiving towards the Batman, and I'm more willing to check out the Batman Part 2 because of this series. But from what I'm hearing, it sounds like the series really doesn't have much to do with the Batman Part 2, and for me personally, I think that'll be a mistake. But whatever.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Is that especially now that let's be honest. No one expected the series to be this well received. No one expected that. But now that it did, Matt Reeves should change his plans a little bit and incorporate the Penguin and Sophia more, because you want this Part 2 to be a success. You want it to be a success so that whoever takes over WBD this next year has no choice but to continue with this universe. And yeah, I mean, the reality is the Penguin was better than the Batman. That's just a reality that Matt Reeves has to accept. So yeah, absolutely. And the fact that the show
that could be part of the problem. That could be part of the problem, though, Bat Dan. Maybe Matt Reeves has a bit of an ego problem too, because Matt Reeves was involved with the Penguin, but he wasn't that involved with the Penguin to the point where maybe he has a few issues that the show was better than his movie, and he recognizes that, so he's trying to kind of distance himself from it a little bit, kind of like in the same way that James Gunn went and cherry picked and took only his stuff and doubled down on his stuff for DC. I'm not saying that Matt Reeves is as big of a narcissist or anything like that as James Gunn is, but I think that there is a level of professional jealousy that automatically happens when you have something that's creative, maybe even derivative of something that somebody else did, and that turns out to be bigger or more popular or outshine where it came from. And I think that's the problem. I think, we have a little bit of that going on. But what I would love to see happen is, let's say that, our whole premise that Netflix or whoever buys WB, because we know someone is going to buy WB, whether it's Paramount, Netflix, Universal, whomever. Let's say they decide to do that. They decide to come in and swoop in and grab, since they own DC, they tell Matt Reeves, well, you know what? We're not going to let you continue making the Batman movies because we're going back to the SnyderVerse. But because the Penguin was so well received, you can continue being showrunner, and we'll allow you to continue making Penguin seasons. And I would love for Penguin to be its own separate Elseworlds show on whoever buys WB. I think that would be a smart investment. I think that'd be a great move, because I think it's one of the best. I think it's one of the best TV shows to come out in the last 10 years. So that'd be wonderful. I don't know how you feel about that, Bat Dan, but I would not mind that being its own separate Elseworlds thing.
Well, I totally agree with you. I think it should be its own separate Elseworlds thing, because it's just, the quality is just so much better than the Batman. That's just a reality. And I do think whoever buys WB will absolutely continue the Penguin, because that's a success for DC, and DC needs successes right now, because DC has not had a lot of success in these past few years, despite what they're trying to tell you about Superman. DC has not had a lot of successes, so hopefully there's a way that this universe can continue.
Oh yeah, it shows you what an idiot James Gunn is for not capitalizing on this and touting the success of the Penguin from the rooftops, because he is in charge of DC right now. So he should be celebrating this and taking this as a win and looking at this as an accolade for DC. But he can't even be bothered to mention it, to talk about it. All he cares about is his own stupid crap that doesn't that isn't popular. He's the most jealous, petty CEO I've ever seen in my life.
I guess technically, according to Aaron Fisher, he did share it on a story, but that's temporary.
Whatever.
Stories go away. So, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, here's the thing. Remember, with us Snyder fans, we don't care about other universes continuing. We just want ours to finish properly. So, I have no reason to not want to see more of this universe. As long as we can get the Batfleck movie too, then absolutely I want to see more of the Reverse, especially the Penguin. So, and hopefully, maybe the writer of the Penguin series can be involved in the Batman Part 2. So, we'll see what happens with that. But just shout out to Cristina Milioti for winning that Emmy and showing and giving DC some success it needs. And some success that Gunny Poo was not able to provide for DC. So, before we get on to Batfleck, I just want to say quick shout out to Henry Cavill. Get well soon, because for those of you who don't know, he was injured on the set of Highlander, and he recently posted something about this. So I won't share this whole thing, but basically a poem or whatever you call that, but
Yeah, he got poetic on us. Yes.
Yeah, poem. Okay, that was the right word to use. Okay, just want to be sure. But yeah, but showing that he is doing well right now, and there's other stories where other pictures where I think you can see his leg. So, but yeah, he seems like he's doing fine right now. He's resting, he's recovering, and he's going to be back in filming in 2026. But I'll say this about Henry Cavill: he's dedicated to his roles. Is that he's a nerd. He's a big nerd, just like us, and he wants to give the best performance possible. And yes, he got injured, but he was willing
and
to
I will say this as a lifelong Highlander fan. This is the perfect role for Henry Cavill. I think, Bat Dan, and I'm going to say this right now, here on the spot, being here on your platform for this particular show, I think that you and I should do a watch party of the original 1986 Highlander film.
I didn't know there was a 1986 Highlander film.
Yes, sir. Highlander is a classic franchise. There is a series of films, several films actually, and there is an even better TV show from the 90s that was done, that went for several seasons. Highlander is a huge franchise.
Oh, wow. Did not know that. I know if Sin Havoc were here, he would say Bat Dan homework assignment, but absolutely, Zod, let's do it. We can definitely do a watch party for Highlander. And because we want to support all the franchises that our SnyderVerse actors like to do.
I mean, when I think about, what Henry Cavill could bring to this role as Connor McLeod, I could not be more excited. I am super, super hyped. In fact, I would say that I hope that he's not even playing Highlander McLeod. I actually hope that he's playing a further descendant, and it recognizes the continuity of all the previous Highlander material. I think this is just another role that Henry Cavill was born to play. And I think I remember in an interview him saying something about them respecting the Highlander source material, and that Henry Cavill himself is a big fan of Highlander. So to me, that just speaks volumes and gets me so excited, because one thing we can say about Henry Cavill, like you said, he's a big nerd, he's a big fan, and he's very passionate about the franchises he's involved in. This is the reason why he's no longer involved with The Witcher, because, ladies and gentlemen, The Witcher, the director, the writers and directors of The Witcher decided to deviate from the source material to the point where Henry Cavill wasn't interested anymore because he's a fan of that universe. He's a fan of that material, and it was important to him that the show stay true to the stories, to those novels, because it's based on novels, and it was important that the character that he played, Geralt, his character was supposed to stay true to that, not deviate and go off into its own, political messaging and all kinds of crap that we don't care about as fans of this material. We just want good stories. And so I anything that Henry Cavill is involved in, I get excited because I know Henry Cavill is doing it because he genuinely loves the source material. So definitely get well soon, Henry Cavill, for sure.
I'll say this about Henry Cavill as well. Unlike a lot of other actors, people find other roles for him after Superman, because the sad thing that happens to a lot of actors who play Superman is they get typecasted. They can't play anything other than Superman. But Henry Cavill can play it like people see him as all these other roles aside from Superman, like Geralt, like Highlander, like whatever Highlander he ends up playing, like whatever character he plays in Warhammer, like Wolverine. So absolutely, get well, Henry Cavill, and we know that if you're in this project, it's because it respected the source material. And hopefully Netflix makes it up to Henry Cavill. Hopefully they make it up to Henry Cavill, and I feel like they will very soon. We'll just say.
Oh yeah, definitely. If Netflix is the ultimate home of WB or the SnyderVerse and the SnyderVerse, that means that yes, Henry Cavill will get his redemption on Netflix all the way through. Netflix will essentially be redeemed in our eyes ultimately just because of that, because I would be surprised if Netflix gets WB, if Netflix puts Zack Snyder in charge of DC.
That would be really interesting. I would love that if we got Zack Snyder in charge of DC. But we'll see. But first, though, get well soon, Henry Cavill. And what up, Qatar? Thanks for stopping by.
There's Dr. Guitar in the chat. Another fantastic One Punch Dan character, Dr. Guitar. Yes, sir. I love it. There are several One Punch Dan characters in the chat here.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got Socks, Qatar.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So now let's get on to the Batfleck Day, or Batman Day with Batfleck. So now I tried to just show the post itself, but Twitter has decided that it doesn't want to pause the video despite me clicking the pause button on it numerous times. Therefore, if I show the post, I'm going to get copyright stricken. But the link to the post I'm referring to is in the chat. But basically, Warner Brothers had this big Batman Day post, mind you, a big Batman Day post where they showed many clips of different Batman and different things related to Batman, including showing the Penguin from, the Penguin series, and showing a clip of Teen Titans Go with Cyborg making a comment of Batman or the Dark Knight or some comment about Batman. So, mind you, they had time to show a Teen Titans Go clip in there. But what they didn't have time to show was a clip of Batfleck, of our Batman. WBD left out Ben Affleck's Batman on Batman Day, on this big montage of all of the Batmen out there. Really?
That was intentional. That's because of James Gunn. Because James Gunn has this petty vendetta against the Zack Snyder fan base. James Gunn hates all of us, wishes we were all dead, and does not want to do anything to draw any attention to any part of the Snyderverse. And Batfleck, as great of a Batman as he is part of the Snyderverse. And Batfleck has gone on record saying he does not want to be a part of James Gunn's farce of the universe. So that combined with James Gunn's extreme pettiness, selfishness, and delusions of grandeur about what his DCU is or isn't, is why Ben Affleck was not included. It's very, very clear when you look at the top, when you look at who the idiot CEOs of that company are.
Absolutely. This is why we don't engage with Netflix and with WB. And this is why I love the sell hashtags, because the whole point is we don't give engagement to a company that mistreats its fans. And that's what they did right here with Batman Day. They could have acknowledged Ben Affleck's Batman. I mean, they put freaking Teen Titans Go on there. Okay, they had time to acknowledge Ben Affleck's Batman.
There's no excuse for them not to acknowledge Ben Affleck's Batman. They have no excuse. And yeah, people, James Gunn's defenders can do all the mental gymnastics they want to try and defend James Gunn for not including Ben Affleck. They can say all the things they want. They'll make up excuses just like they did for Superman's box office, because we all know how that turned out. But it is what it is. I mean, what do you expect from James Gunn? Okay. Now, if Ben Affleck I'm actually surprised. I'm going to be completely honest and transparent here. There is a scene in BVS where Ben Affleck's Batman is taking a shower, and you can literally see a naked Batfleck. I believe he's coming out of the shower or something, or going into the shower. I can't remember exactly, but
he's in the shower. It's like a clear door.
Yeah, there's a clear shot. I'm actually surprised that James Gunn didn't include that shot from BVS in his little Batman Day video today, because we all know that James Gunn is obsessed with nudity, male and female nudity, and so any chance he gets to show somebody naked, I was thinking that would be the shot of Ben Affleck's Batman that we would get in his little Batman Day tribute, but that didn't happen, and I'm a little surprised about that, but not really, because again, James Gunn is super freaking petty. So,
yeah, and as Jamar, Bad Beast, and Rebel Moon Theory pointed out, even in the Lego Batman game, and even in that feature, Ben Affleck was left out.
Mm-hmm.
They just leave out Ben Affleck's Batman. Every other Batman matters except Ben Affleck, and that's just, it's ridiculous, because and here's the ironic thing. In some ways, they're giving more attention to Ben Affleck by not including him in this, because now fans are commenting on it. If they included Batfleck, nothing would be said about it. It'd be just one of many Batmen in there. But because they left him out, they're almost giving him more attention now, because now you have all these people commenting, where's Ben Affleck? Where's Ben Affleck? Where's Batfleck? Where's Batfleck? Why are you leaving out Batfleck? It's like, the ironic thing is what Gunny Poo tried to do, he failed at doing by not including Batfleck. He made Batfleck gave him more attention by leaving him out. So that's the ironic thing about all this, is now everyone's commenting, Batfleck. So, way to go. It's like, we are not, like, this is what Warner Brothers needs to accept. We're not walking away. We told you what we wanted. You chose not to listen to us. Your box office suffered. And we know that James Gunn's going to be out the door soon. We know that. And Gunny Poo's trying to get as much vendetta as he can against the Snyder fandom. So, and the reality is, all he had to do was put ZSJL 2 and 3 on the slate as an Elseworlds, but he chose not to do that. So this is the consequence of that choice. And you can be petty all you want, but it's not going to change anything. We're going to fight for what we love, and we're going to take our engagement elsewhere. So, at the end of the day, this is a horrible thing that WBD did. That WBD did. I think I might have said that too fast. But they're going to, there's going to be consequences soon. Hopefully, whoever takes over, hopefully they can actually do better, because WB needs to be run by good people. And, well, it depends if the Flash is canon to the current iteration of the SnyderVerse. So we'll see. And oh yeah, that's a good point, Jamar. They don't do that. And what up, Bishop?
There he is. What's up, Bishop?
So yeah, it's horrible what's happened, and I will not give any engagement to WBD on Twitter until Netflix buys WB and the merger has been closed. Okay, that needs to happen too. Like, they can't just buy WB. The whole process has to be approved. It has to be finalized. It has to be like WB is 100% owned by Netflix. There is no it's going to happen soon. There is no it's in process of it. No, it's done. That needs to happen. And until that actually happens, I do not respect WB as a company, and they're not going to be getting any love from me whatsoever. And I will give my engagement to the other companies. So it's horrible. Just shows what a scummy company WB is. But there's some exciting stuff happening on Netflix though. The Rip. So this comes out in January of next year, and this is a Netflix movie starring Ben Affleck and Matt Damon as well, Ben Affleck's partner in crime. And our Supergirl's in this movie too. So this is definitely one that all Snyder fans need to check out. So, I mean, hey, Ben Affleck's willing to work with Netflix though. Just saying, there's already precedent of SnyderVerse actors working with Netflix. And now Ben Affleck. But Zod, what did you think when you saw this trailer?
I think it's going to be a pretty good movie. I mean, it is so nice to see Ben Affleck doing something else with Netflix, considering where we are going, where we're headed, man. This is wonderful, wonderful stuff. And it just goes to show, all of the actors, the main SnyderVerse actors, all have working relationships with Netflix. There's no real hard feelings, except maybe Henry Cavill, but Henry Cavill's issues are more with the writers of Witcher and not necessarily with Netflix themselves as a company. So we have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, exactly. Where is that comment? But someone made a point that Netflix basically just depends on the showrunner. It's as good or bad as the showrunners who are in charge of that show. So, but yeah, exactly though. And I think Henry Cavill has even done Enola Holmes 3 after that. So he still works with Netflix. But anyways, this trailer though, basically for those who didn't see the trailer, basically Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are cops in New York City, and they're drug cops. They're trying to bust a drug ring, and basically Sasha Calle kind of plays some character who seems to be unwillingly looped in with this drug gang, and then Ben Affleck's getting threatened. He doesn't trust Matt Damon, and to me, it just looks really interesting. I mean, here's what I like about this trailer, first of all. It's the type of movie I would be interested in, even if Ben Affleck wasn't in it. Even if there wasn't a single Snyderverse-related actor in this movie, this would still look interesting to me.
Well, that's the one part that I found it not be believable, because we know how great of friends that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are in real life. We know how close they are.
Oh yeah.
So that's the one thing that I did not find believable about this trailer, that Ben Affleck would not trust Matt Damon's character. It's just like, I'm sorry, you guys' friendship is well known, so it's not very believable that the two of you would be at odds the way you are in The Rip. But that aside, no, I think it looks like a compelling movie. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Ben Affleck and Matt Damon look really good, though. I mean, even though people think they're old, I mean, they look really good in this movie. So, in this trailer, so I'm just saying, I would not worry about age when it comes to Ben Affleck returning as Batman. I mean, Ben Affleck does a lot of action type roles still. I mean, if you've seen The Accountant 2 and The Rip, I mean, that looks like Ben Affleck's going to have some action in this movie. So, just saying, he does a lot of very physically demanding roles.
Yeah.
So, and I really like that Sasha Calle is in this movie because I think she kind of got screwed over after The Flash because she's such a really good actress, and then The Flash didn't do well in the box office. So it's really nice that Ben Affleck. I mean, I don't know if it was Ben Affleck who brought Sasha Calle on, but if it was really nice that he did that because even though they didn't really share a scene together in the Flash movie, I'm sure there were moments where they might have been on set at the same time. I don't know how that filming works exactly, but I know the film scenes aren't filmed in chronological order. So,
Right.
but it's really nice to see Sasha Calle in this movie and get another shot because she's a really good actress, and I think she has so much potential. I mean, she was definitely one of the best parts of the Flash movie. So I'm really glad to see her get another role in this movie and to see our Supergirl on Netflix because I'm just saying Zack Snyder may use Sasha Calle in ZSJL 2 and 3 if you want Supergirl in it because Zack Snyder's not against using other actors in his movies. I mean, I'm just saying Jared Leto. When that scene was filmed, mind you, when that additional photography was filmed, the Snyder Cut was not canon. So Zack Snyder had no obligation to use Jared Leto's casting, yet he still did. So I could totally see him doing the same thing for Sasha Calle. So, I've never seen that series before, or even heard of it. Young and Restless. Have you seen this one, Zod?
That's a soap opera.
Oh, yeah. Well, never seen that one before, so. But still, it shows that she's a good actress. So I'm really glad to see her in Netflix as well. And, again, the seed's getting planted for the SnyderVerse. But I'm just going to say right now, guys, January, come out and go see, when it comes out, watch this movie. We got to all support The Rip when it comes out. Support the SnyderVerse actors' projects on Netflix. It's really important that we do this. So January, I think it's January 16th, they said. I thought they said it was January 16th. Let me just yep, January 16th. So check it out. But I will say this, Zod. Every time I saw promotion for this movie at first, I kept freaking out when I saw Ben Affleck and R.I.P. I'm like, is Ben Affleck dead? Like, this kept coming up every time when this movie was first announced. I would just see R.I.P. and Ben Affleck, and I'm like, oh no, Ben Affleck's dead. And then, I saw more detail when it came out, but yeah, so just to clarify, guys, I mean, now that this movie's actually out now, I think I won't freak out like that anymore, oh, really, Qatar? Well, if it was on here, Netflix here, I would definitely watch it, but January 16th, guys, check it out. Check out The Rip. And now, SnyderVerse revival possible with Netflix. So, we're getting more and more news about this whole Netflix acquisition. So let me just share my screen real quick. So basically, Zack Snyder's Justice League revival possible. Netflix is a candidate to buy DC. And come on. I'm trying to show this article and I'm getting this stupid advertisement for Gunny Poo's Superman. Guys, I have no control of the ads that appear on here. So just basically, Zack Snyder's Justice League can make a comeback if Netflix ends up buying Warner Brothers and with it, DC Studios. We kind of went over this before, but Variety has Wells Fargo media analyst Stephen Calhall, he was saying that Netflix was the most compelling buyer. So it was right here. Attractive or an attractive M&A candidate. Now, I'm going to be honest. I don't. Oh, here we go. The most compelling buyer. An attractive M&A candidate. Now, I'm not good with all these finance terms, but basically, Netflix has been eyed to buy Warner Brothers, and this is where I kind of want to get into right now. So, for fans of DC, it opens up possibilities because here's the big point. Since the existing DCEU, Snyder has found a home on Netflix where he has developed Rebel Moon, Army of the Dead, and Twilight of the Gods. And he's also working on a police drama. So, funny, both Ben Affleck and Zack Snyder are working on police dramas. And basically it brings the whole point is that it would basically put everything under one roof. So, but yeah, so there's more talks about the SnyderVerse revival with if Netflix buys WBD. But Zod, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think it's obvious that that if Warner Brothers buys WB, that the SnyderVerse gets a revival. I mean, that's common sense. And I can't wait to see what the reaction of all the gun bots will be if that happens. Because everybody that criticized the Cell movement and attacked all of us for our delusions that the SnyderVerse was coming back, that the SnyderVerse on Netflix was not possible, they're going to have to wear diapers if this happens. Because there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of bot accounts crapping their pants. For real.
A lot of bot accounts and a lot of YouTuber shills. If you know, you know.
Not only that, you know, I would go as far as to say that if this happens, these people need to delete their accounts and just go away. And I believe a lot of them will, because what can you say then? You know, all of the attacks we've been getting, the disrespect that Ben Affleck's Batman didn't even get acknowledged on Batman Day. All of this stuff, okay, because of James Gunn, all right? It's karma at its best, you know, at this point. If this actually happens, this will be a huge win for the SnyderVerse fandom. This will be a huge win for people that are fans of WB's, you know, back catalog of films and TV shows, because if Netflix gets it, that would be huge. People don't realize the implications of Netflix picking this up. It would just be a win-win, especially because Netflix wants to expand as a company and wants to be a bigger commodity. And acquiring WB would be just amazing for them. And yeah, the SnyderVerse revival would not just simply be possible under these conditions, but I'll say what Integrity 101 is always so fond of saying: the SnyderVerse revival would be inevitable, 100%, if that happened. There's no way it wouldn't happen. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't at least offer Zack Snyder the ability to take over DC as head of DC. I mean, and even if Zack didn't want to do it, maybe Deborah Snyder would want to take over as head of DC. But either way, I think we would be done with the Gunverse, and the SnyderVerse would be restored. And actually, I would say that there is. I would say that there is it's almost a sure thing. I would almost be willing to bet money if Netflix acquires WB, that the Snyderverse, we would hear something about the Snyderverse revival almost immediately.
Immediately, I would say after the closing of the deal, because deals take a while to close. But after that happens, absolutely.
Yeah. And it would be great for Netflix, just from becoming a major player standpoint. I mean, it would just be unbelievable. What's up, Bell? Yeah, Bell's 100% right, of course. This is what we need to happen. And maybe all of our suffering, all of our having to endure all of this James Gunn crap is all leading us to this point where we're finally getting what we want. Finally, Finally, Snyderverse fans will get something that they want. Finally, fans who want WB to be done and wants their properties to be respected. Finally, that'll be possible through Netflix. I think honestly, I think Netflix would be the best the best company to take over WB as a whole. And I was saying that a long time ago. And people were telling me, well, no, Netflix would just buy DC. They would just acquire DC. And I thought to myself, well, no, why? Why wouldn't they just acquire all of Warner Brothers? They have so much more to gain if they acquire Warner Brothers as a whole, more so than just DC. It would be the best thing for them. Because they are a movie company. They are a media company, first and foremost. So that would be the greatest thing that could happen.
Exactly, because you had AT&T who bought them, but they're mostly a cell phone and internet company. And then you had Discovery who bought them when they're a reality TV show company. But Netflix is actually a company that's business is movies and TV shows. So they would actually know how to run this company. So I think that would be a win. And I just picture this right now, Zod. Zack Snyder, he asks Netflix, how did you get my characters back from WB? And Netflix would say, we bought WB.
Yeah, 100%.
It'd be a whole I bought the bank situation. And it's so funny, Zod. A lot of people, when Sky and Leon came up with these hashtags, they're like, well, shouldn't we say license? Because they're technically licensing these characters. Well, if they buy WB, that's not the case. If you buy WB, they're 100% buying those characters. They're 100% buying and permanently owning the Snyderverse. So,
if I were James Gunn right now, I would be sweating, because James Gunn was and is a colossal failure for DC. He's ruined the brand beyond repair. So it's going to take Netflix to restore credibility to DC, not just restore the Snyderverse or revive the Snyderverse, or however you want to say it. This is like, seeing DC we've had to see our favorite brand get completely trashed and gutted because of this perverted piece of crap that is James Gunn. We've had to see DC hoard into submission. And now it's almost like DC is being rescued from sex traffickers at this point. That's almost how it feels to me. Like DC has just been completely disrespected and defiled on so many levels. And it just feels like finally there's a chance for some redemption. Finally, there's a chance for the good guys to take it over. It just feels to me like we need to move beyond the James Gunn era. And the James Gunn era is going to be looked at as it needs to be wiped from canon completely, needs to be wiped from DC history. The way Ben Affleck was scrubbed on Batman Day today, that's what needs to happen for James Gunn. But Netflix needs to keep the James Gunn material out there for people to see so that it never happens again. We need to always have access to the James Gunn crap so that they know, God, think of how bad things could be if we were to continue to allow this guy to spread his perversion and propaganda all over DC.
Exactly, Zod. Exactly. And what I really like about this too is it's what you said. Like, because here's the thing: if we just got sell ZSJL to Netflix, sell SnyderVerse to Netflix, as in ZSJL 2 and 3 and the Batfleck movie, and that was all licensed to Netflix, and Netflix could do that, that would be great for the SnyderVerse. But we still have after DC, after that, for the DC brand in general that we want saved. And I was always on board with sell because my logic was, hey, first the SnyderVerse. Once we get that, then we can campaign to save the rest of DC. But with this is even better because we don't even have to do this, even have to campaign after that because Netflix already own DC and they will do what's right for DC.
That's
totally
right.
believe. And Netflix needs, here's the thing. People are like, here's what I like about this. With Netflix buying Warner Brothers is that Netflix will actually have a movie studio theater. They actually will use Warner Brothers because here's the thing: if Paramount buys WB, they're just going to use their IP, and Warner Brothers as a company will cease to exist. If Paramount buys, did I say Universal or Paramount first? I don't even remember.
You said Paramount.
Okay, if Universal buys Warner Brothers, the same thing. They'll have their IP. They'll just get their IP, and they'll put their stuff in the theme parks after working out some deal with Six Flags, since they have some of their IP in the theme parks already, in their own theme parks. But Warner Brothers as a company will cease to exist. And here's the thing. I don't hate Warner Brothers as a company. I hate the people who are currently in charge of it right now. But I want Warner Brothers as a company to be able to thrive and to be its own separate thing. And with Netflix, it would. Because here's the thing. Warner Brothers is a theatrical company, and Netflix does not have a theatrical business. They have some limited theatrical releases, sure, and they have a few theaters they own, but in general, they're not a theater company. This would be their way in to being a theater company. They could just keep Warner Brothers as its own thing, as a theater company. So this would be a great thing. Like, Warner Brothers would actually exist as its own company still, and you bet they would do it with the SnyderVerse. And here's what I also like about this too, is that with a licensing deal, there'd be limits on what they can do. Like, if let's just say Zaslav was keeping Warner Brothers and James Gunn was still head of DC Studios. Sure, he might be like, hey, we have to do this deal because we're in debt right now. So we're going to do this deal. But James Gunn might be talking in Zaslav's ear. Might be like, hey, look, we can't let Zach do this, or this. He might be limited on certain characters. He'd be like, hey, we're doing a Batman movie soon with Joker in it, so we can't let Zach use Joker in his movies. There could be some restrictions that could potentially happen. And maybe we would only get ZSJL 2 and 3. We might not get the Batfleck movie as a result. But now Netflix would own this stuff. So they're going to be like, we're doing what we want. We want to do Batfleck movie ZSJL 2 and 3. And as long as Zach, Ben Affleck, and the other actors are on board, they can do it. There's no restriction because they own it in its entirety. So absolutely, with this Snyderverse revival would be possible with Netflix? Yes, because they give Zack Snyder project after project. People keep saying, well, why isn't Planet of the Dead continuing? Why isn't Rebel Moon continuing? Because they're giving Zack Snyder another project right now on Netflix. You think if Netflix was not happy with Zack Snyder, they wouldn't be giving him more projects, okay? Warner Brothers is the only company where you fail upward. But in any other company, you do not fail upward. So they would not be giving you more projects if you fail. So Zack Snyder, okay, well, technically, Paramount didn't own Marvel ever. They just were doing a deal with Marvel Studios, was just working with them for their movies because they didn't have a distribution company. But Paramount did not actually own Marvel itself, just to clarify. but absolutely it would be possible. And also, as people point out, Netflix wants a superhero franchise. I mean, they haven't had a lot of victory. I mean, it was like Umbrella Academy, Jupiter's Legacy. There hasn't really been a lot of success with that, except for when they had the Marvel IP with Daredevil. Okay? Like, one of my favorite live action superhero shows of all time is Daredevil, especially season 1, and that started on Netflix. That was a Netflix production. And yes, it's on Disney Plus right now, and they removed Netflix from the opening credits, but that was a Netflix production. Absolutely. And here's the thing, too. Netflix can do the multiverse. So even if you are a fan of the Gunny Poo verse, if it fails because it actually failed on its own merit, not because another universe came in the way. So, absolutely. And you know what, Zod? Okay, now this is just trolling. So, and just a reminder, mods, on this channel you can mod. So,
But I mean, I love this comment. Gunverse is peak. This tells you the types of people that we're dealing with. These are people who have literally no reference or taste in film. If you're telling me that the Gunverse is peak, you really need to expand your horizons as a film fan. Because I'll tell you something. I'm really sick and tired of people going around using words like peak to describe the Gunverse. It's like, are you serious? This is what you consider to be like peak cinema? This is your benchmark? I'm gonna go take it one step further. Okay, I'm gonna take the SnyderVerse out of it completely. Let's just take all of this cape shit out of the equation and just talk about cinema in general. If you tell me that Superman is awesome, even from a movie perspective, let's we're not even talking about in the greater scheme of things of like just the DCU or DC or comic book movies in general. There's nothing about James Gunn that is peak. Okay, his style as a filmmaker is juvenile, perverted, petty, stupid humor, and just utter crap. He appeals to the lowest common denominator that there is. There is absolutely nothing redeeming about James Gunn as a filmmaker. And I'm going to take it even one step further. This James Gunn's actions as head of DC have made me hate James Gunn's Marvel stuff too. And here's the thing. I didn't have a problem with the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy and whatever. I didn't have a problem with James Gunn's Marvel stuff. But over time, as things continued on, and we see what kind of a person and what kind of a director and what kind of a straight up creep James Gunn is. This is why. Yeah, and then you have people like this dude here talking about how peak the Gunverse is, and that's when you realize how bad things have gotten, how the standards that people have for cinema and for film have gotten so low that someone like James Gunn is what is accepted for as quality right now. And that is appalling to me as a film fan. I've been a film fan all my life. I grew up watching some of the greatest films of all time. And there is nothing from James Gunn that it's an insult to cinema to call anything that James Gunn has created peak. Period. It's gotten to the point where I'm starting to hate the superhero genre as it exists nowadays because of James Gunn as a filmmaker completely. He's a terrible filmmaker. He's a terrible CEO. And he is poisoning the youth of today with his crappy films, crappy stories, crappy ideas. He shouldn't be directing a backyard picnic, let alone a cinematic universe, let alone being the head of anything. So I'm tired of it. It's offensive to me at this point. It's no longer just, I don't like James Gunn. Now it's gotten to the point where I'm offended by James Gunn's very existence as a filmmaker, because he is tarnishing cinema on levels that are beyond repair. It's because of people like him that the quality of everything is just dwindling on levels that will never recover from as a society, and it's horrible.
I will say this, though. The fact that we have people like here coming in just shows that they're scared. Because why do you care what some YouTubers are saying? We're just on here talking about something we love. But you felt you needed to come on here and throw shade at us. So why else would you do that if you weren't scared? And I'll tell you this, Zod. There is actually someone who would agree with you about your Guardians of the Galaxy comment, and you'll never believe who it is. Socks Bulletins. Socks Bulletins himself has said that he does not want Gunny Poo back at Marvel. He does not. The big MCU guy does not want James Gunn back at Marvel. So,
and Bishop, what Bishop is saying here about One Punch Dan. One Punch Dan is a genre redefining film. One Punch Dan is taking the opposite route. One Punch Dan is applying all of the things that I have learned and respected and enjoyed about cinema my entire life, and is bringing it together in a way that makes sense, and is going to give us something else to look forward to and to look into as we re-examine the superhero genre. Because if this continues with things like James Gunn, there really is no hope when it comes to like big, when it comes to big studio superhero films. There's just no hope whatsoever. But what we're talking about here today with Netflix gives us hope. And I agree completely, Bell, that the SnyderVerse was peak back in 2016. I believe that. But I will say that from the perspective of for the superhero genre. But I just at this point have gotten to that reality where James Gunn is just going to keep bastardizing everything and anything that's DC, because he doesn't respect DC. He doesn't care about DC. James Gunn doesn't care about anything. James Gunn's one of those people where he's drunk with power. He's in a position to greenlight anything that he wants to greenlight. So it's not about quality. It's about pushing out any perverted, demented, warped version of superheroes that he could put out before he gets fired or doesn't get his contract renewed. However you want to look at it.
I'm sure he won't get fired. I'm sure it'll just be his contract won't get renewed. But
Gunn is not just anti-Snyder, Bell. Gunn is anti-cinema. Gunn is anti-cinema.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he doesn't even respect movies. The stuff that he's doing right now is, like I said before, so offensive that imagine looking up to James Gunn. Imagine being the kind of scumbag who literally is looking up to James Gunn thinking, this is the guy. This is peak. This is 100%. 100% Qatar. For real. Give me a break. Like this is who we have to look forward to. This is who we have to respect. This is supposed to be one of our top superhero directors or film directors, cinema, peak. Superman was a joke. It was a travesty. It was an insult to the legacy of Superman. Ironically, considering the movie was originally called Superman Legacy. Could you imagine? I don't know. I'm Netflix. I am praying that you acquire Warner Brothers, because not only does DC deserve better, not only does the SnyderVerse deserve to be revived, but Warner Brothers as a whole and cinema as a whole needs you to save them. For real.
Absolutely, Zod. Absolutely. And what you just said, the whole thing you went about, that's exactly why we need Netflix, because we need the superhero genre saved, and I believe Netflix is the one to do it, who will do it. And that's why I'm praying that they are the ones to buy WB, because that exact rant you just did just proves our point exactly, that we need Netflix right now, because Netflix is the one who will save DC and the superhero genre right now. So
Netflix actually supports independent filmmakers. Netflix actually supports cinema, actually cares about film, actually cares and wants to promote filmmakers and give people a platform to produce quality content. James Gunn's not about quality. James Gunn's just about his own perversions. That's another big reason why this needs to happen. Just anybody can buy Warner Brothers, and I will support you as long as you get rid of James Gunn.
Yes, exactly, Zod.
That's the first problem. That's the first problem that needs to be taken care of immediately.
Yeah, get rid of Gunny Poo first, and who knows? Maybe by the time the acquisition or merger, whatever you want to call it, is finalized, maybe by then Gunny Poo will already be gone, because Zaslav won't bother extending his contract because he'll know the new owners won't want it.
But Zaslav won't be there either, right? If this goes through, Zaslav will be done too, won't he?
It depends on when the merger actually closes, and that's what I'm saying. Zaslav might be there, but might be on his way out. But again, I don't know how all that business technical stuff will work. But I'm just saying that, if let's say Gunny Poo's contract that's up before the merger or acquisition is finalized, Zaslav may just not extend it because he knows the new owners won't want it. And Zaslav's going to want to do everything he can to make the acquisition go through, because that was the whole point of this. So at the end of the day, this is going to be our saving grace, not just for the SnyderVerse, but for everything. And also, just briefly pointing out, Ted Sarandos, he's the CEO of Netflix. He is the head honcho of Netflix. He and David Zaslav were spotted together at some boxing event. I'm not really into that stuff, but the fact that they were just spotted together at an actual event, I don't know, that just, business people, when they meet up for stuff like this, something's going on behind the scenes. Business people do not publicly hang out. Competitors do not publicly hang out like this. That just doesn't happen. Zod, do you think the CEO of McDonald's and the CEO of Burger King would be spotted together at a boxing event?
That's possible.
I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know if this really has that much significance, honestly. I'm not really into the business side of things, but
I feel like these people all know each other, and it's one big good old boy network. They're all friends. They all know each other, but ultimately, because the idea is, competitor or not, you can do business with your competitors. Really, times are tough for everybody now. So so people all want, because the reality is they need to do something to make all of these companies successful. All of these companies want to be successful. We know there's enough money to go around, clearly. So they need to just. So it doesn't surprise me. I mean, it'd be so hilarious that one day to hear Burger King and McDonald's teaming up for some sort of wild food promotion. That would be crazy, Bad Dan.
That would be something, but hey, you know what? Stranger things have happened, though. I'll say that. Stranger things have definitely happened on that. But I will just say, I mean, with this, though, this alone doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I think when you put this with some of this other stuff we're hearing,
yeah,
like, I definitely think this is a good sign for this going through. Ted Sarandos and David Zaslav. Like, that they're spotted together in an event after talks about a Netflix buying WB happen. Absolutely. So, I don't know. What do you think about that, Zod?
I mean, it's cool. I mean, whatever. All I'm saying is I just want it to happen. That's all. I just want it to happen. It needs to happen. We need to get this merger. It needs to come through. Netflix needs to acquire WB. And that's the reality. That's the best thing for us. That's the best thing for DC. That's the best thing for Warner Brothers, in my opinion. Other companies, some other company could swoop in, Paramount, Universal, whatever. But in the best possible terms, I feel like our best case scenario would be Netflix, for sure.
Absolutely, Zod. Absolutely. And now, before we get to the big topic, this is just more of a for fun question. We know that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon work together, okay? I mean, we just saw the RIP trailer. And as you were saying, because of their friendship, it was hard to believe that Ben Affleck wouldn't trust Matt Damon. But my point of that, though, my whole point is, when we get this Batfleck movie, we know that Ben Affleck's going to want to put Matt Damon in it. We know that's going to happen. I mean, you don't think Ben Affleck's going to put his friend in a movie about the best superhero, like the most popular superhero ever? Of course he's going to do it. So this leads to the question, Zod, who do you think Matt Damon could play in the Batfleck movie?
Well, I would say I think he'll play Harvey Dent.
That's been the most popular one. I did a post about this, and that was the most popular one. I've seen Two-Face and Harvey Dent, but I'm sure that's just being used interchangeably. And I have to agree with that, honestly. Because here's the big thing, Zod. Harvey Dent, like pre-Two-Face, Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne are actually best friends in certain iterations. Batman the Animated Series.
That's right. And it would work. It would be believable. Unlike, this upcoming movie, RIP, where, it would be believable that where they could actually play off of the reality of their friendship. They would have great chemistry because they are truly in real life, they are best friends. So it would make sense for Harvey Dent to be Bruce Wayne's best friend in the Batfleck movie, and for it to be, I just think it would be a perfect fit, honestly. I'm not saying Matt Damon couldn't play anybody else, but I honestly feel like that would be the direction to go.
Todd, I'm curious. Have you ever played Batman Arkham Knight?
Yeah.
Remember when you beat Two-Face, and this is assuming you do the side mission before you beat the main story mission, when Batman carries Two-Face to his car and takes him to the GCPD. Remember that conversation? Oh, wait, when you beat the Two-Face side mission, did you beat it before or after the main story mission?
After.
Okay, so the dialogue was a little different for you then, because they changed the dialogue depending on when you beat it, because, spoiler alert, the game's been out forever now, but Ben Affleck revealed himself as Bruce Wayne. So the dialogue that you played wouldn't make sense for before the story. But basically, it's very our heartfelt story, our heartfelt dialogue, because Two-Face is talking about how Harvey Dent is dead, and Batman says in a very sad voice, "I don't believe that." And it feels to me, I'm just picturing a conversation like that with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. That would be so believable.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's a lot of great cinematic, there's that word again, exchanges between Bruce Wayne and Harvey Dent, or Batman and Two-Face. There's so many different things that could be done there. The drama, it would be believable, and I think if and when we get the Batfleck movie, because we will get the Batfleck movie, especially if the Netflix acquisition happens. I just could totally see this happening, and honestly, Matt Damon has that Harvey Dent like look too. I could totally see, him being a perfect fit for that role. So yeah, I'm with you 100% on that.
Now here's the big question. We covered, how we could get the Batfleck movie through Netflix buying WBD. But here's the other big thing. Is Ben Affleck still interested? And before you answer that, Zod, I want to play a little clip that Josh Herrera sent me just to see. So hold on, let me...
Oh, you're talking about just Josh. He sent it to you, huh?
Yes.
Air is fucking awesome.
Thank you.
I just have to know, other than Deathstroke, which Batman villains were you interested in portraying, and what your plans were for Batgirl?
Well, I'm seeing this. Is it a pink shirt? I don't want to offend.
Wonder Woman. It's Wonder Woman.
Oh, hello. Yes, please. Loud or get on a mic. Ben?
Thank you very much. There were a number of them that I was kind of exploring, and the plans were to, make interesting, nuanced, complex characters, and really, I kind of feel like either you do. I mean, I'm just going to get into my own preference here, which is, but either you do like a kind of massive kind of one villain that is so formidable you just can't imagine how it is that your protagonist is going to be able to overcome it, or you have to sort of really populate kind of the Injustice, like these big group villains where you get to have all these different characters. So I was at the time really trying to kind of hone in and focus on that character and get into depth and detail about it to make him seem as impressive as I felt like there was the opportunity to do. And that's the only detail I have for you.
Okay, but here's my question, Zod. If Ben Affleck was not interested, why didn't he give Josh more details about his script? Why was he so silent about certain aspects for something that he's no longer interested in?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if Ben Affleck wanted to, he could have his script adapted into a novel and just release the novel if there's no plans, or a comic book if there's no plans to ever make it into a movie. I think Ben Affleck has always had faith that they would eventually get back around to doing it. And I think this has been the plan all along. Have that wait and see approach. Don't give nothing away. And just be cautiously optimistic, because you will get another opportunity. The Snyder Cut taught us that anything is possible. And the truth is, that's why he's not going to give everything away, because he knows that he has a chance to give us something else. And hey, I'm glad that he didn't spoil it. I'm glad that he didn't do any of those other things, because this movie deserves to be seen. Everybody that has read or commented on his actual script said it was the best Batman script ever. And we deserve that movie. We were robbed because of Matt Reeves, the Batman, and we're continuing to be basically grave robbed thanks to James Gunn. So I can't wait. I'm excited. We need this, we need Netflix to take over so that this ship and these wrongs can be righted, and Ben Affleck can deliver his masterpiece, because we know he has it in him for sure.
I love how Josh Herrera shows up right when I share his clip. Like he was like right when I share his clip.
That's just Josh for you. He always shows up at the right moments for sure. Yes, sir.
And Zod, there's one line you said in there I really love. You said anything is possible. You know who else said that? Well, I'm going to show you who said that, specifically referring to the return of Batfleck.
Back as Batman.
Hey, it's
Back as Batman.
hey, it's possible. Okay.
Thank you. Back as Batman.
Hey, it's possible. Okay.
Thank you. Back as Batman.
Hey, it's possible. Okay.
Thank you. Back as Batman.
Hey, it's possible. Okay.
Shout out to Leon for sharing this post, but this was from the set or an press for The Accountant too. But Ben Affleck could have just said no. He could have said, "Hey, sorry, I'm done." He said anything is possible. Isn't that really interesting, Zod?
Yes, that is very interesting.
And there's one last piece of evidence I want to share for this point. This is a post from the Batfleck Movie account. And give me a second to pull that up. But this is from Artist Equity. This is in the office of Artist Equity, which is the production company that Ben Affleck owns, that he and Matt Damon both own. And what is that, Zod? What is that?
Well, it appears to be Robert Pattinson. Oh, wait. No. Ben Affleck's Batman. Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, I did read somewhere, and I don't know if this is true, but I heard that Ben Affleck is reprising his role as Daredevil in Avengers Doomsday. Now, I don't know if you heard that or you saw that anywhere, but I read that somewhere, and I don't know how true that is, but I just wanted to point that out, given that it is Batman Day and all, and Ben Affleck did play Daredevil
which
several years ago. So,
and he actually played Daredevil because he thought that was the closest he was ever going to get to playing Batman.
Yeah.
But just saying, if Ben Affleck did not like this role, It's very funny that you put an 11-foot statue. I mean, I'll say this in his production office. I mean, that'd be like Ryan Reynolds putting an 11-foot statue. I'm guesstimating on the height of that statue, just a really big statue. That'd be like Ryan Reynolds putting one of his Green Lantern in his office. You know, the one that he famously shitted on in Deadpool, in the Deadpool franchise. Like,
I believe that Ryan Reynolds is a secret fan of his version of Green Lantern, and he just plays it up for laughs. But I believe he is a secret fan of his version of that character.
I mean, he could be. He could actually be. Even if he did literally kill off the script in Deadpool 2.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean,
I enjoyed it too, Bishop. I'm not going to lie. But the point is, though, Zod, we just saw 3 pieces of evidence right there that Ben Affleck has interest in continuing playing Batman and or doing his Batfleck movie. So, if you're asking me, yes, Ben Affleck is still interested in playing Batman. We took care of the Netflix angle. Netflix is interested in continuing the SnyderVerse. Ben Affleck is interested in doing his Batfleck movie. So you know the Batfleck movie on Netflix is a perfect marriage at this point. What about you, Zod?
Oh, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So, yes, the Batfleck movie on Netflix is definitely going to happen. It is definitely possible. Or, hey, you know, happening with Warner Brothers under Netflix. That's probably what's going to happen. Is that it will be released through Warner Brothers. It will just be released through Warner Brothers with Netflix as its parent company. So, yes, Batfleck movie is definitely happening, and I definitely want to give a shout out to this on Batman Day. So, thank you, Zodwriter, for coming on and discussing this. Is the Batfleck movie on Netflix? Can this happen? I think we can both agree. The answer is yes. Would you agree?
100%, yes.
So, guys, Batfleck movie is going to happen. And to me, the best way to get there, keep hashtagging Celsius Jail to Netflix, sell SnyderVerse to Netflix. Do not give engagement to the company that literally left out Batman, that left out Ben Affleck on Batfleck.
Yeah, how do you leave literally the best Batman out of your Batman Day tribute? How do you do that? Well, you do that because James Gunn is the head of the studio and he's a scumbag. That's how you do it.
I mean, to be fair, Josh, you also enjoyed Madam Web, so much love to you, Josh, though. Much love to you. But yeah, exactly. Exactly what you said, Zod. So that's why we are not going to give WB engagement. That's why we should not give WB engagement when we're fighting for the SnyderVerse, including the Batfleck movie. You want to say make the Batfleck movie? Write it out in non-hashtag format. Like what I
Shout out to the head of the Make the Batfleck Movie account, Gary McGill. Shout out to you, brother. It's going to happen. Keep the faith.
Exactly. And, you know, thank you, Gary McGill, for keeping the conversation of the Batfleck movie alive. Even if we don't agree on the hashtags, you know what? We still have the common goal on keeping the Batfleck movie alive. So shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. You're the best, and we owe you a lot. We owe you a lot. Because, and I do want to point, you know, and the reason why I made that comment earlier is to show that as long as you're respectful, you can do stuff I don't agree with. But as long as you're respectful, it doesn't matter to me. So, absolutely, Zod. Shout out. So, on that final note, Zod, anything else? Anything coming up on your channel or anything coming up with One Punch Dan you want to promote?
Well, I mean, the only thing coming up for One Punch Dan is One Punch Dan. One Punch Dan is coming soon. It's right around the corner. So be on the lookout.
I cannot wait, Zod. I cannot wait. And coming up on this channel, Rebel Moon Theory and I are going to be teaming up soon. We're going to be talking about the Netflix WB angle from Rebel Moon's perspective and how it will affect Rebel Moon. We've been talking backstage, and there's a lot of possibilities that opens up. So that will be an episode of Space-tastic discussion. So be on the lookout for that. And then Sox and I, we will definitely be talking some Spider-Man when the Tobey Maguire films get re-released in theaters. So be on the lookout for that. And Josh, we're definitely going to be looking for you to come on for Spider-Man 3 because we can't pass up having an actor from the movie in the review. So be on the lookout for that. And guys, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more unique takes and interesting thoughts and great discussions such as these. And happy Batman Day 2025. Any final words, Zod?
No. Happy Batman Day.
Have a bat-tastic Batman Day.